Hey guys, welcome to the 2 a.m. pipe on the patio. I just wanted to tell the story of me and old Pete, my pipe mentor. I started smoking a pipe back in 1994. And I got married in 1992, and I quit playing with Tomcat Courtney's band in 92, and I had a day job working in a grocery store. And one of my customers was an older gentleman by the name of Pete. Pete was an elderly guy, this wiry guy must have been from Chicago or something, I think he was. Nicest guy you'd ever want to meet, man. Funny. But he always came through my line, and we'd always talk, and I knew Pete was a pipe smoker because I could smell the tobacco on him, the pipe smoke on him, and I could tell he was in the store before I ever saw him, because I could smell the pipe tobacco. And Pete was a heavy pipe smoker. So I started smoking. I'd been smoking for a couple of months. And I was having a hard time with it. I was burning my tongue up, something fierce. And so Pete came through my line one day. And I said, "Hey Pete, you smoke a pipe, don't you?" And he said, "Yeah, I sure do." And he said, "Do you smoke a pipe?" And I said, "Yeah, I just started smoking one just a couple months ago." And he said, "All right, well, how's it going?" And I said, "Man, I am just burning my tongue, just something fierce. I mean, my tongue's just burnt." And he said, "Well, that's common." He said, "That's real common." He said, "Tell you what." He said, "When's your next day off?" And I said, I told him, I think it was a Thursday or something. So he said, "Well, next Thursday, why don't you come on up to Liberty Tobacco on Claremont Mesa Boulevard?" He said, "I'll be there all day long. Bring your pipe." I said, "How many pipes you got?" And I said, "I got 2 pipes." And he says, "Okay, that's perfect." He said, "Bring your pipe up on your next day off on Thursday." He said, "Bring your tobacco." And he said, "No, I'll fix you up so you don't burn your tongue so much." I said, "Great." And so that Thursday morning, I took my pipe, which was this pipe right here, my Boot Chacombe Tricord, first pipe I ever owned. Took my pouch of Captain Black, and I went up to Liberty Tobacco. I walked in, and there's Pete. He's talking to everybody in the place. He's a gregarious, just fun-loving guy. Knows everybody, knew everybody there. He'd been going in there for years. So he sees me and he says, "All right, John, you're here." He says, "Come on, man. Sit down here." So he sits down with me. He says, "Let me see your pipe." So he takes my pipe. He goes, "This is a good pipe. This is a great pipe. You got a good pipe for starting with." He said, "Have you he'd done a break-in process on it at all, and I said, I just been loading it up and smoking it. And he said, okay. Because I'm going to show you how to break in a pipe. So he shows me how to break in a pipe, and he does it the 1/3, 2/3 in a full bowl. And he says, you do this, put 1/3 of a bowl in, and you smoke it all the way down till it's ash. And he goes, and then when it's all done, you stir up the ashes, and then you take it and you shake it all up, and you get the ashes all coating inside. He goes, then next time you smoke it, you do the same thing. He said, do that 3 times. Then do 2/3 of the bowl. Do that 3 times, and then do a full bowl, and you're on your way. He said, that'll help you start building a cake in your pipe. He goes, and also when you start, he showed me how to load the pipe, which was, I had never had any instruction on at all. I was just stuffing tobacco in it, So he showed me how to do the 3-pinch method. He said, now go ahead and just load up the bottom 1/3 of the pipe there. Just go ahead and do that. So I loaded up the bottom 1/3. He said, now go ahead and light it, start smoking it. So I start smoking it, and I'm just, sucking in smoke and blowing it out, just, big plumes of smoke. And he goes, okay, that right there, that's why you're burning your tongue. He said, I want you to watch how I smoke my pipe. And he was just taking little sips of his pipe. And getting these little wisps of smoke coming out. He said, now I want you to imagine that your pipe is a straw and it's in a Coke. And you're just trying to sip up enough Coke just to wet your tongue. Not to get enough to swallow or get a big gulp, but just enough to just wet your tongue, just to get enough wetness on your tongue. So that's how you want to sip your pipe. So now try that. So I started doing that, and he goes, there you go, that's how you do it. You're just nice and slow. He goes, you just want to taste the smoke. He goes, you're not in a hurry to smoke it down. You're not in a hurry to get all that tobacco smoked. Because you need to slow down. Because you're smoking it too fast. You're trying to get it all smoked all at once. Because you're just taking sips. Like you're just trying to wet your tongue with it. If you were drinking a Coke, you're just trying to get enough through that straw just to get your tongue wet. And so we sat there, and he just kept talking to me about things, and with the pipe, and the proper way to smoke the pipe. And he took his time with me. And Pete was probably the guy who saved me from giving up the pipe. Now, Pete smoked, heavy Latakia blends and Englishes, and for the life of me, I can't remember the tobacco he smoked, but it was a Dunhill blend that he was smoking that day. And so I talked to him, and I said, should I smoke, tobacco like you're smoking? And he says, nope. He goes, if you like that tobacco you're smoking, you smoke that tobacco. He goes, That's a perfectly fine tobacco. You just need to learn how to smoke it so you can enjoy it. And so we sat there for hours and hours and hours, and I smoked that bowl down, stirred up the ashes, shook it up. And he told me turn the pipe upside down, shake it up. And he goes, now go ahead and load another bowl up in there. So I loaded up, another third of a bowl, and we sat there and we smoked it. And he walked me through this whole process of smoking a pipe with him. And he just took his time with me and showed me how to do it right. And he wasn't trying to change me to get me to smoke his tobaccos or any other tobacco. He said, if you like that tobacco you're smoking, you smoke that tobacco. Just learn to smoke it right, and you will enjoy it. And I did I smoked Captain Black for years, and then I switched to Mayor Pete, which was just similar to Captain Black, but I enjoyed it more. And I smoked that for 20 some years. Until Tinderbox went out of business in San Diego, and then I started smoking Better Than Captain Black from Liberty Tobacco. And I tried some other aromatics from Liberty Tobacco. And then one day I bought Early Morning Pipe, and that got me started on Englishes. And then, I started moving into other things, but it was 20 some years before I ever switched off of the aromatic stuff. Because I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. But old Pete, he was a wise old man, and he taught me, and I still do it today. Sometimes I still take those big old puffs of tobacco, and because I love just get that big old puff of smoke going. But especially when I'm talking, if I'm talking on my videos, I'll tend to get into it just to keep things going. When I'm really relaxing and focusing, it's those little sips just to wet my tongue. And old Pete, he was just so happy that I was enjoying smoking a pipe and that he could help me. And get me past that tongue bite. And show me the little tricks of the trade for breaking in a pipe. And he told me, he goes, when you get older, when you've been smoking a while, you'll find that you'll just load up a pipe and a new pipe, and you'll just start smoking it. He goes, you probably won't do the 3-step break in. He said, and you'll be fine because you'll be smoking a pipe right. But I still do, when I get a brand new pipe, sometimes I will still do that, especially if it doesn't have any bowl coating. I will still do Pete's way of breaking in a pipe, because I've never had a pipe burn out, ever. And I think a lot of that has to do with the way that Pete taught me to break in a pipe. And a lot of the pipes I've got, I haven't got a lot of brand new pipes over the years. Most of the pipes I get are estate pipes that have already been broken in. But I've never burned out a pipe. And I owe that fact to Pete. He taught me to smoke a pipe correctly. Smoke it slow. Sip it so it stays cool. The pipe doesn't get hot in my hands. I break it in properly. I make sure that it builds a cake. I don't let it build a thick cake in my pipes. I try to keep the cake, fairly thin. No thicker than a dime at all. If it gets more than a dime, I'm thinning it out. But I do want a cake in my pipes. Because that's what Pete told me to do. But I owe the fact that I've been smoking for 28, 27 years now to Pete, because I was ready to give it up, and it was not fun for me having a burnt tongue every time I smoked a pipe. But Pete pretty much cured that tongue bite for me. Pete was a funny guy, funny guy. He was my mentor, and I lost track of him over the years. And when I went up and joined the San Diego Pipe Club, all the guys up there knew him. All the old timers up there knew him. And so when I got there, it was like a connection with Pete again. And Jim, who's now the Pipe Club president, he knew Pete. Cedric, the pipe guy at Liberty Tobacco, he knew Pete real well. Pete had passed away a couple of years before I joined the San Diego Pipe Club, and so I never got to meet back up with Pete after all those years. I went on with my life and did all the things I did in my life, and I would have loved to have been able to thank Pete and let him know that I was still smoking a pipe. But it was all because of him, you know. But I moved to a different store in 1998, and I kind of lost track of Pete after that, and then I just, you know, went on with my life and did the things I did. And would have been nice to come back and see Pete again. But I have my memories, and I have my pipes to remind me of Pete. And I think about him a lot. I really do think about Pete a lot. It's funny the things you think about when you're sitting alone, quiet, smoking a pipe. And this pipe in particular brings back loads of memories for me. And Pete is one of those memories that comes back with this pipe. Thanks, Pete. I owe you. I'll talk to you guys later. Who was your mentor?